bunch of Nooklings. Now, like most other art and craft YouTube channels, I do enjoy a good prompt book, and I may have acquired a few more. These are Cassie's. Yeah, I decided to wait till they were all released before I ordered them. So let's take them up to the desk and see where we're going to start.
So of course the first decision is which book to use, and at the time of recording this it was November, so I thought the Hygge Sketchbook would be perfect for that. You know, still technically autumn at the time. I was trying to figure out where I wanted to add an extra character, which I managed to draw completely, well, almost completely off screen. I hadn't realised how high up the sketchbook was. Yeah, you will see it a little bit later, but it takes a bit before I realise it's out of shot. But as buttoned here is sort of front and centre, and that's where I'm starting with the colouring, you know, we can forgive it to a point, I think. Oh dear. And when I started colouring this, I was sort of in one of those weird moods of not really knowing what I wanted to do, or knowing I wanted to create but not knowing what I wanted to do, hence why I chose the colouring page to start with. And I was just going to colour him almost as Cassie did initially, his complete character design, but then I thought, you know what, I want to do things my way, a bit differently. And I had been thinking, you know, what would Button look like if he was on Midgard, my fantasy world. That was kind of the idea, but really looking at the image sort of as I go and as I've thought more of Midgard, this is more like just ends up being a dark moody piece, really, more than anything else. But hey ho. So you'll see I am using a variety of different alcohol markers. These ones are the Spectrum Noir. These are old. They, as far as I'm aware, they don't actually make these ones anymore. Yeah, they're not the greatest. They're also not terrible. So, you know, they're kind of mid. The Winsor & Newton Pro markers have been my favourite for a long time. And I only recently switched to Hoohoo's, and that is more from a price point of view, but also I've been finding it harder to find Winsor & Newtons outside of sets, and I would always just buy the single ones, you know, because then I'd be getting the colours that I wanted, not an entire set just for one colour kind of thing. But yeah, Hoohoo's, yeah, they're not too bad. I can't remember what my exact thoughts were. There is a video that I did when I first got them. I'll link that down below. But yeah, I did enjoy them. So, why this video has taken so long? Now, if you've been here for a little while, you will know I have had my editing issues, mostly with the software. And this video was the one where it all went wrong, and I actually edited this section of the video, I want to say 6 or 7 times now, maybe 8, because even after the editing software issues were fixed, for some reason this one was not playing ball. There was one section that we're not at yet that I just could not get the file to download. It kept saying it was the wrong file type, even though it wasn't, and it was just a big headache. And in the end, what I've done is I've edited the video into sections, and then I actually end up editing it on the laptop rather than the computer, because for whatever reason, it would work on the laptop. Try and make sense of it. I can't. It's the same software, you know, the laptop's smaller than the computer, so who knows. Anyway, back to the artwork. As you can see, I outlined my Nookling, and yeah, I had to put a Nookling in there. I really wanted to. Yeah, I carried on colouring the background whilst I decided which Nookling I was gonna add in, you know, because they're basic sort of shape, silhouette, everything is the same, so that didn't matter. It's just what colour I wanted to do. And she does get left quite late in the process, just the way it was, as I say, taking my time to decide. Because, you know, I could have very easily just done Pal straight away, but, you know, I don't want to use him every single time, because there's quite a few of them. Yeah, but I thought it'd be fun having this one, just sort of peering over the branch, having a look at Button, seeing what he's up to. Yeah, I just thought having a Nookling was a fun addition. So again, like I said about this being a sort of dark, moody piece, I did decide that I wanted to make it a nighttime scene, which is probably a more accurate description than dark and moody. And I did actually manage to use up a couple of my markers. This blue one, I think, died partway through. When I organised my markers, which I don't think has actually been in a vlog yet. I think that should have been in the November vlog. I think. I can't remember now. Oh dear, I haven't looked at the footage for a while. Yeah, when I organised my markers, I did try and keep out the ones that were almost running out, to keep them separate, but some of the ones that I thought had quite a bit of life left in turned out they didn't. But, you know, it did feel nice to be able to throw some of them away and just not, you know, have hundreds of markers that may or may not work, because there is nothing more frustrating when you start colouring something and then the marker just dies and you haven't got anything close enough to replace it, or to carry on the piece. You just kind of have to do the best that you can. I am prone to that, but you know, do what I can, which is the main thing, and still enjoy the process. And honestly, choosing to do the colouring page first was a really good idea. I did find it quite relaxing. You know, it's a nice simple one. I have got a colouring book, one of these adult colouring books, but I just found that like super stressful because the details are just crazy. Plus this one that I got, I forget what it's called now, but it's one of these that's got hidden items in it, and those I wasn't that keen, because I was like, what do? Do you colour those items so they stand out, or do you colour them in so that they blend in with everything else? And my brain just couldn't decide, so there's some pages where I did one or the other. And I've kind of given up with that colouring book. Just, yeah, I think I prefer the sort of more simplified things. And the other thing I enjoyed about this one is the fact that I did manage to add a little Nookling in there. And it's always nice when you can add your own sort of little touches to things. Yeah, I was trying something a bit different with the pumpkin and I didn't like it, so yeah, let's not do that. This is where I decided to colour her. So this is Connie, and she is the contrast colour variation of Nooklings, of a Nookling. Oh, my brain is not working. It's currently 3:45 on Sunday. This video should be going out at 8 o'clock. I've spent all day trying to sort out the editing, but we're getting there, and that's the main thing. So it may be a little bit late tonight, because I've got to stop and cook dinner at some point soon. Yeah, anyway, did a little bit of shading with some pencils. It's nothing too obvious. I think a lot of the pencils I used were just way too close to the marker colour. And no, I was not thinking because you might have seen I had the piece of card behind to stop bleed through on the markers, and it's one of these smaller pages. I didn't have anything sort of close to the right size to hand when I started this. And I kept shifting it around even when I was using pencil, because I don't know where my brain was at, you know, other than I was thinking I don't want to go over the edge of it and it make a weird texture. I don't know why I wasn't thinking just take it out, you don't need it anymore, but you know, these things happen. This is where our heads go sometimes. Added a little bit of detailing to the trees, which again, quite enjoyed doing that. I do like a good sort of woody texture, though I don't always execute it very well. Got some ripples in the water going, a bit more shading, and the final step I did with this one was to add a whole lot of stars. I kind of wish I had done something a bit different to the sky, added, I wouldn't say more detail, because obviously stars are quite a bit of detail, but just some other kind of variation in the colour, like 2 tones of blue or something. I don't know, just something else. But I may revisit this at a later date. But for now, I'm going to stop waffling. We're going to put some music on, and then we'll get into the next prompt. So, prompt to roll for a hug. Yeah. Or a cozy cuddle. You'll have seen the text. Anyway, again, I was stumped as to what I wanted to do, which was why I chose this one. I'd let the dice decide, and yeah, my mind was still blank. But then I decided to discuss it with Jay, and sort of as I was talking to him about it, it suddenly hit me. I needed to do a dog and a cat huddled up in front of a fire. I just knew that was gonna be it. It was gonna look not necessarily going to look great, but that was just what came to mind, and I knew what breeds I wanted to use, so this is me just looking up sort of pose references, a vague reference for a fireplace, and yeah, I just decided it was going to be best to do it this way rather than just straight out of my head, because it would have gone a bit wonky, I think, even the fireplace. As it is, the proportions did end up, well, you'll see. Let's not spoil too much. But yeah, this is often what I do with my drawings, is look up pose references. Mostly it is pose references rather than anything else. Yeah, and then just sort of throw things together in the way that I want. So once the sketching phase was all done, I got everything lined and began to colour. Well, try to. I decided I'd map out the sort of brick texture I wanted behind the fireplace, and yeah, it kind of worked doing it this way, but I do end up just sort of colouring them in a minute. But I think you can see what I mean by the proportions being way off. I mean, you could argue that like the dog and the cat are closer to the camera than the fireplace, until I put the rug in. It just kind of makes it like way worse. But yeah, you'll see what I mean. Obviously you don't need to see me colouring all those bricks, because that took forever. And you may have spotted, I did also include a Nookling in this piece, just because I thought it would be really cute to have one on the mantelpiece. But again, this is kind of where sort of not so much proportion, but in this instance the 3D effects kind of failed, because it's more a 2D object, the mantelpiece, because I forgot to make it 3D. And I had thought about putting like knickknacks and things on there as well, but because Nooklings, as I say, are very small, sort of 2 to 3 inches tall, it would have made the proportions even wilder. So yeah, I just didn't do that. And in case you're wondering, these guys are an Old English sheepdog and a Norwegian forest cat. Just 2 really fluffy breeds, and I just thought it would be adorable. Yeah, and they have got names. Actually, his name came really quick, and that's the dog, and his name is Haystack. You may or may not know of Muffin McClay, who is from the Harry McClary. That's it. I couldn't think of the name of the book. I'll flick up an image of that, and that's sort of part of where that name was inspired from. It took me a little while to name the cat, however, the name I chose for her just kind of really was appropriate, and I called her Needles. Again, with these guys, I was looking at marking references, which you might think for an Old English sheepdog is a bit kind of unnecessary, but you know, I kind of wanted him to be somewhere between acceptable as a show dog, but also kind of not. But I think I lent more into the is acceptable. That's just, yeah. If you've been with the channel here for a while, you'll know that I do love my dogs. It's the one thing I kind of really nerd out about. Yeah, so that's where it came from. However, with Needles, I messed her up big time. Now, the particular cat I used for reference, I used an entirely different marking reference image than the pose reference, and I really wanted a ginger tabby, and that's what I thought I had, and it just had these really striking markings, and it wasn't until I'd put in almost all of the darker markings that I realised what I was looking at was not markings at all, but shadows, and it was just one of those. I don't know what was going on with my head that day, but you know, I think I've managed to sort of rescue it, and she still looks cute. You know, I may tweak the markings a little bit when I draw her again. I'm definitely drawing these two again. I can't not. Now, Norwegian forest cats are my favourite breed of cat. Old English sheepdog aren't my favourite breed of dog. That's Rottweilers. But I do love how fluffy they are, and they are a gorgeous breed. So, you know, no problems with adding them. I could have done sort of my second favourite breed, which is the Otterhound, but I just decided to draw something different because Otterhounds I do tend to draw often. Certainly I did at one point. Anyway, I'm going to stop waffling. Let's enjoy some more music as I put in the rug and the rest of the background details. Because I wanted to highlight which prompt I got in my dice roll, I decided that I would actually include the blue so it wasn't quite so jarring and just sort of fitted in a bit better. Initially, when I was thinking about putting these guys on a rug, I was thinking I'd do something really fancy like an Axminster, but no, Axminsters are just way too complicated to try and replicate, and I really want to use purple as well, so yeah, that's just kind of where I went. So the blue's a bit random because I just wanted to, like I say, highlight the role prompt, but fit it in with the rest of the image, and I think it worked okay. Sorry about that. Yeah, so that's what I did. Pause the video. These arrived in time, sideways, so you can actually try these out for the final prompt, and I'm really excited. You can see the reflection of the camera. Hi. Enough of that. Let's get into the final prompt. Let's get into these. I like that. They're so pretty. Curious as to how they work on black paper. Got a little thank you card from Artex, which we got in the pencils as well. So let's just grab one. Oh, and they're fine and brush tip. Nice. Which I forgot that. Can't get into him. There we go. Let's move. These double layered. Don't think so. Oh yes they are. Ha. Let's do that one that way. That way. P91. Prussian blue. Ooh. Okay. That looks really cool. Okay, let's crack on and do this prompt. I may have to readjust the colour order, because what is that order? Let's get going. On to the third and final prompt. I still didn't really know what I wanted to draw, so I picked another semi-colouring page. This is paint the door, or colour the door, but I did decide to add a couple of bits to it. Obviously the wellies, and I do put a shadow in the door and something on the porch, which you will see. Just I don't think you can really see the sketch too well, but I kind of did that deliberately so it was sort of hidden and not very obvious until I actually got to colouring that. Using the acrylic markers, the Artex markers, these were so much fun to use, honestly. You know, I've enjoyed using Poscas, but it just got to a point where I was getting frustrated with the nib texture. how chunky the nibs were, and the fact that they had a habit of exploding, which if you saw my B video, you'll know that happened. And yeah, it just really, really frustrating when that kind of thing happens. Obviously with the Artex, that didn't happen, which it's such a relief and makes life so much easier, and just, yeah, able to get things done that I wanted to get done, and the fine details as well that you could just get done with these. Just the difference is amazing as far as I'm concerned. But I'm gonna stop waffling and I'll catch up with you in the end. At the end, I should say.
absolutely love how these pages have come out overall. This one I'm probably the least happy with. Just, yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure on that one. I think partly because Connie's sort of blended into the night sky, but yeah, I've got paint on my hand from my current project. Never mind, eh? Yeah, and then paint the door. Really happy with this one. Thought it was such a fun thing to do. And then finally, what is it? A cozy huddle. This one I absolutely adore. Yeah, really happy with this. I need to go Mod Podge everything because I haven't done that yet. But yeah, that's going to be it for this one, guys. Again, thank you so much for watching. Remember to stay uniquely you, and I'll catch you Nooklings next time.